Andy. So we've got one amazing guest for you today. Her name is Lisa, and she's from Amelie Skincare brand, and she is just amazing. We were just chatting before,
There's so much to talk about.
And we're really on the same energy wavelength as you, and yeah, we're just very excited. So hello.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
Happy Friday. So, Amly. So, Amly, in a nutshell, is it's a clean skincare brand, but we're also a sensorial skincare brand. So, what we try to create when you're using our products is it's a sensorial, it's a sort of journey of scent, which has a profound effect on your nervous system. So it's sort of skincare that's really good for you. It was inspired by myself and my young family moving to an organic farm in East Sussex in 2009.
Wow.
And I would say in some respects, Amly came about because I was at that time very much a burnt out mother. We were living in a caravan on the land, and Delilah, she was, I think, 1.5, and my son was about 3. And I was so exhausted. We'd been, working to try and get the house renovated. It was a complete rubble when we arrived. And so a lot of the time I was spent out on the land, really, with the 2 little ones. And one day I managed to get them to sleep in the afternoon. It was about 3 o'clock, and both had gone down, which was that was a miracle. I never had both of them sleeping at the same time. And it had been one of those days where it had rained all day. So we'd been in the caravan, and I was feeling quite sort of exhausted. And that's the feeling of heaviness when you've been in that enclosed space. But suddenly it stopped raining and the sun came out. And I thought, well, they're both asleep. I'm just going to walk outside and have a bit of me time. And so I just walked we were literally in a field, and it was in the summer. So all of the wildflower meadows had just started to come up. And I tossed my shoes off and walked barefoot in the field. And because of the combination of the rain and the flowers and the soil and just me standing there barefoot, I had this incredible sensation of calmness, and then this feeling of feeling completely uplifted. And I just felt, I don't know, connected to myself, but also to my surroundings. And I thought, wow, this is exactly what I needed. And then I thought to myself afterwards, when I came back in, I'd love to be able to recreate that sensation again, but not necessarily having to do, because you don't have much time to yourself. And so I thought, how would I be able to create that feeling, in my home or on the go? At the time, I'd reconnected with a friend who was working in the clean beauty industry. And I was talking to her about it. And also, just by chance, and I think this is what happens in life, things come together. One of the reasons why we'd moved to the countryside is because I'd actually been quite ill. I had, at the time, undiagnosed Lyme's disease. So when we got there, the whole point was to shift our focus, have a different type of pace of life. And I was trying to get well, but I still didn't know what was causing it. But the impetus to get well meant there were certain choices I made while I was here. So when we were building the house, I said to my husband that one of the priorities was to have our own access to water, spring water. So we had a dowser come to the farm. Do you know what a dowser is? A water diviner? Yeah. They come with their rods and they find water for you. And because prior to moving here, the lady that had lived here before had talked a lot about the magical spring water here. In fact, she had 5 daughters, a set of triplets and a set of twins. And she said it was because of the magic water. So already my mind was thinking, I want to have some of this water in my life. And because I wasn't feeling great, that was one of the priorities for me. I really am passionate about clean water. So we had a diviner come, and he'd found this spring. It was 60 meters underground. He was the most incredible person. He not only found the spot, but he was able to tell us by asking the willow sticks how deep to go. And he was also able to tell us the rate of water we would get every day simply by asking the willow sticks. I was there with him at the time. I was completely, initially I thought this isn't, well, this is a great performance, but everything he said came true. So we found this water.
Of asking energy.
Yes.
To this is, people don't realise how connected we are, and until and things like that. I actually watched a programme on that as well. It was, I can't remember what it was called, but you can ask like nature and you will get, and I'll tell you another story in a minute, because something really crazy happened to me the other week, like with a bird. And actually the story is basically I had a bird that was suffering in my garden, and I said to my husband, please, we've got to do something about this bird, it's in pain, it can't fly. It was a white dove as well. And I said, please, we've got to do something. So I rang the vet, and I said, and they said, like, obviously bring the bird down, because the vets are allowed to treat any wild bird, and make the decision on what to do. And anyway, this poor bird, and it was like it was asking me for help. And so I took it to the vet, and they did come out and they said, like, I'm really sorry, we're going to have to put the bird down because it's dislocated its wing and it can't fly. And I don't know, I was just so upset about it. But anyway, this day, a bit later on in the day, it probably didn't help that I'm pregnant as well. I'm a bit more emotional.
Yeah.
A bit later on in the day, I walked with you and Mum past this shop, and in this shop, I've never walked this way before. We saw a big picture of a dove.
We did, didn't
like,
we? Oh,
flying free.
We did, yeah.
And I said, oh my, and we never normally would walk that way, would we?
That way.
And that was one thing. And then I didn't tell you this, Pacey, but as I drove home that after that, a dove landed in front of my car just on the road outside and wouldn't move from the road and was just staring into my car. And I was like, you you stop the car and you think, I can't run you over, just go on, move. And for about a minute I was going, come on, move. And in the end I had to beat the car for it to fly off. And it was a white dove that landed in front of the car, and I was like, felt like a sign. But I think people forget how connected we are. We're very, very connected, and it's so amazing that you went out on the field that day and you connected and you got a message for you to set up what you're doing now.
Exactly.
And I just waved off, but I just think I just love things like this.
I do think you have to listen, and you also just have to treat nature and the natural environment with the utmost respect. And as soon as you do that and you give back, because we're always taking, you will always be rewarded by the natural environment, by nature. Because not only did we find this water, but it was really high in silver salts, which is exceptionally good for healing. So when I going back to talking to my dear friend Kerry, I was telling her about this experience I had in the field. I was telling her about the water that we had discovered. And she said, well, why don't we create a range of facial waters or face mists, which basically encapsulate all the floral essence and the essential oils from the plants that were growing in that field, so that when you spray, when you mist yourself, not only is it going to benefit your skin, but you're going to have a profound effect. It's going to have a profound effect on your nervous system. It's going to calm you, reconnect you. She's a craniosacral therapist, so she herself knew all about how our nervous systems can be affected by our environment. And funny enough, she had been saying at the time, she'd been treating a lot of women who were coming to her, they were out of sync, they were out of balance, they were eating well, they were taking supplements that were recommended that they should take. They were doing yoga, meditation, but something still wasn't quite working for them. And she had started experimenting by removing some of their traditional skincare, which unfortunately can be problematic. Some of the ingredients can affect your endocrine system. They're not great. Once she'd removed them out of their day-to-day, she found that they were responding so much better to her treatments. So she was also passionate about trying to find skincare that was actually good for you, enhanced you, an overall well-being experience. So together we then worked for 1.5 years on creating our first face mist, using the spring water, combining with beautiful biodynamically grown essential oils, floral essence, and then we also put in some actives. We wanted to use copper peptides and hyaluronic acid just to give that extra boost to your skin, but always with the main objective to, when an individual uses the product, it has a profound effect on their health and well-being. And you can only get that as well by taking time out to use them. So a lot of the time we're on the go and we're using our skin products, we're literally slapping it on and running out because, we've got 101 things to do. And we always put our needs to, the back of the queue. Your children are always your priority. So we wanted to create simple products that you could use together, but it does encourage you to just take a moment. So the mists, you have to mist and breathe them in, and immediately you're either calmed or you're energized, whatever the need is, you'll use that mist for that. But then the next layer will be one of our balms and oils. Again, they have these incredible essential oils.
Got a call from heaven.
I don't know how that happened. I was on.
Love it.
I'm so sorry.
Honestly, it's quite. We love it. We love it. We love it. It's part of the
I
podcast.
do apologise. That was my son. He's currently doing his A-levels.
Oh,
and he's
I love
probably messaging me saying, "Where's my breakfast?"
Oh yeah. And it's part of being a burnt out mama. We never can switch off. Like, yeah.
No, exactly. So there you go. 18-year-old son wanting his eggs and bacon. But to go back, we create these lovely rituals where you mist and then you add a balm or an oil. And again, they have these scent profiles that if you cup your hands and just breathe in and then press into your skin, even if it's for 3 minutes, it's not a long time, but you've taken the time just to stop, reconnect yourself, even touching yourself like this in a kind and loving way. Yeah. I mean, I'll show. I have Radiance Boost here. This was the first mist we ever created, which is it's an ode to that day when I was standing in that field, completely frazzled, and then had this waft of just the most beautiful aroma of wildflowers, but also that earthiness because I was touching the ground. So, every morning I just splashed my face with some water and then I mist.
I love this. And I just love the story. The story. I just think it's incredible what took you to there. And we talk so much on our podcast about grounding. For me, it's such an important thing for me. I work with so many different people, children, and I have to ground myself and I have to also protect my energy and and I say to you all the time, I go out into the field and I will meditate or go near a tree and I'll imagine the light coming through me through like trees and stuff. And I know people think I'm really woo-woo, but it is my way of settling my energy and grounding. And for me, like, I literally cannot wait. I'm going to talk to you after the podcast because I really can't wait to use your products because I think for me, like, having that on when I'm on the go and I can't just walk on a field, I can just reach out to your products and stuff.
I was reading yesterday about grounding and all the, I do it as well, but it's when we're living in high-rise flats and things like that, you can't get the same grounding as if you were to go for a walk. We're all wearing rubber soles. And you know, children naturally have just got it right. They want to take their shoes off all the time. And I'm like,
I mean, ours just want to go around naked.
Yeah, like just be free.
But you know what? Let them. They just love being free.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that children don't wear shoes outside sometimes. It's so nice.
Their intuition, because actually everyone keeps saying put your shoes on, but they're grounding a lot when they're outside. It's good for their feet to get dirty and for them to sit and like you say, you touch soil all the time. Mum started gardening, and it's people that garden are actually a lot happier because of the endorphins. I was reading about it yesterday. And there's a bracelet you can buy by a very good brand actually that helps stop all the electromagnetic waves getting to you as well, and you know, affecting your well-being. So I can just visualize you using these products on your farm with a spa, you know, with us there.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm getting so excited. And also I've been looking for, like, being pregnant at the moment, I've been looking for like products that are natural.
Very natural, no toxins.
Yeah, and it is something that definitely would love to have a chat after, because I know.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because again, so one of the other reasons why we created this range was because Didi was only about just over a year, and I was still breastfeeding her, and I wanted to use products that, because whatever you're putting on your skin, you're absorbing, it's going into your bloodstream. I wanted to make sure that, you know, while my daughter was still breastfeeding, that everything, you know, I'm eating organic food where I can, I'm doing all the things that I want to do so that my daughter has the best start in life. But you just forget about the skincare. So that was another reason. And actually, I've used my daughter, it sounds terrible, but I've used her a lot as my sort of guinea pig. So when we created Sleep Tight, which is a beautiful balm with essential oils that encourage that sort of the onset of sleep and keeps you in deep sleep longer. I used to come back from working with my formulator in Somerset near Glastonbury. We would spend days, you know, concocting recipes and balancing the essential oils to get that perfect sort of well-being and olfactory sort of effect. I would come back and then I'd have her on my lap. And particularly with this one, it would be sort of early evening, and it would be sort of post-witching hour around 5 o'clock when they go bonkers. And then she'd just sit on my lap. And I remember the first time I put Sleep Tight, which is this beautiful buttery balm. It's got a lovely powdery sort of end of summer notes. And anyway, I popped just a little bit on her forehead and cheeks. She was gone in seconds. She was just totally asleep in my arms. And then as she's grown up, because all of our products also have to work with people with very sensitive skin, we're very conscious of that. Lots of people can have sensitive skin, especially post having babies, and then all through to postmenopausal. She uses the skincare, and if it works on her skin, she's a 15-year-old now, and it works on my skin, I'm 52, and if it works on my mum's skin, who's 72, I know that I've got a range of products that will, you know, do the job for everyone at different points of their lives, because you do need different things at different points. You can mix the products as well, by the way, accordingly to what your skin or what you're needing emotionally at the time as well. So they're very responsive, and you can sort of have your own little sort of apothecary at home. All of the products you can mix together, they're all 100% clean, and they all sort of, they create new little recipes for your skin and mind. When I say mind, you can call them neuro skincare as well, because if you're using natural fragrance, i.e. the essential oils, as I said before, it has an immediate effect on your nervous system. Your nervous system is connected to your mind, body, and soul. So, and that's really important to understand. And I think people should really be looking for skincare that gives you that whole spectrum of, gifts in a way. It doesn't just have to be an immediate sort of skin effect. It has, I think good skincare should have a multitude of benefits.
Yeah.
And that's, that's so every product we make now has to tick all those boxes.
Amazing. And what I was going to ask you was, obviously you're doing this now, you've had children, your children are a little bit older. Have you always lived near Brighton, or were you in London before? What made you do
Very quickly, I grew up in Birmingham in the 70s, and it was right in the middle of in the city of Birmingham. But I was very lucky to be living next door to my grandparents who were from Ireland, and cousins and aunts and uncles who were also from Ireland. So I was able to grow up in what could be described as a mini small holding that my grandparents and aunts and uncles created. We removed all the fences between the houses and created this beautiful sort of, it is like a tiny county Kerry farm. We grew all of our own food. This was in the 70s and 80s. Wow. We even at one point had a pony in the back garden. I mean, and we're talking right in the middle of Birmingham. So, and then every summer we used to go to Ireland and stay on my great granny's farm. So I always had a real affinity to living in that sort of setting, but also living in a city. And then when I came to Brighton in the 90s to do art, I studied fine art. I stayed down here because I really liked the quality of life, access to the sea, access to the downs, the countryside. And I'd done my city life. Lots of people went off to London, but I thought, not for me. And then it was when I met my now husband, we moved out of Brighton onto a farm. It wasn't our farm. We just lived in the farmhouse. And that's what really gave us the impetus to try and find our own farm and live as, self-sufficiently as we can. So we've got all of our water is from the spring. We've got wood chip boilers. We've got solar panels. We do as much as we can to be as off-grid, but obviously you can't do that all the time. And just like you guys were saying with your kids, my two, when they were born and brought up here, I wouldn't let them wear shoes for the first 2 years because they just roamed around, and they were also totally clothless. They'll kill me for telling you this, but I just wanted them to be as free as possible. And I remember my mother-in-law was constantly trying to take them to Clark's to get their first shoe fitting, and I was like, no,
just leave them.
I just wanted them to be little free beings. And if they were in the mud, I mean, I would almost encourage them to sort of, smooth. I didn't have any problem with them coming in absolutely covered in mud. I just wanted them to be as free as possible for as long as possible.
How old were they when you set up your Amelie Skincare brand?
How old were they?
Yeah, when you set up.
Well, yes. So we started in 2015. So they're about sort of 5 and 7.
So can I ask, how did you set up a business with little ones? Because I mean, we've all been challenged. Like it's very hard to do, and I think a lot of what we talk about is, our life as women is very hard to juggle kids and business, and we do our best, and we are multitaskers, aren't we? So how did you do it to inspire other women?
Well, so first of all, I would say we're not superhuman, and you can't have it all. So I would say that you have to be realistic when you're starting a business, and you have to make a decision at the beginning what your priorities are. So the kids were always going to be my main focus and priority, and I was lucky insofar as I could work predominantly from home. So a lot of the time I was working on Amly and formulating, I was doing that from home and juggling, just the sort of the day to day. As they got older, I then sort of swapped the balance of focus to a bit more on Amly. When I say a bit more on Amly, it meant I could go away a little bit more, spend time with my formulator, maybe sometimes go, which was a joy to cope. We're very popular in Denmark, so I would have the odd trip to Denmark to meet all of the Amly followers over there. So it was a constant sort of judgment call on time management allocation. But to be honest, I was up in the morning, I gave them their breakfast, I took them to school. And then I was at the end of the day picking them up from school and making them supper. And so, to be honest, when they were at school, they had no idea what I was doing during the day. And if they were ever asked, they would say, well, Daddy works and Mummy just stays at home. They had no idea. I was actually co-running a beauty brand with my business partner. And we've always been very conscious, and all the ladies we've worked with, so my production manager, she's based in Somerset, we work around each other and we support each other. So when it's half term, especially if some of the ladies have young children, we make sure that they have that time so that they can be with their family. And we generally do working hours between 10 and 3.
Yes.
Because I think, as you well know, women are super productive when they have to work within a certain amount of time. We're very good at that.
Yes.
So, and I think you get the best work done when you don't feel like you're compromising on other things that matter to you. And I think if you've got that work-life balance, it's always going to work out well for you.
Talented women out there that once they've had their children can't go back into work or London because the hours are just crazy or extreme.
Yeah.
And the employers are losing out on a massive bunch of women that have trained for years but have had children. But 10 to 3 is an ideal time. You can then do school drop-offs and pick-ups. This is what I said, like so many people say to me, I want to go back to work, but it's the school runs because my partner can't do it, the school holidays. I mean, I think this is why so many entrepreneurial women create businesses to work around their children.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right.
And hopefully this as well, burnt out mamas.
Yeah, I know. And it is we juggle everything anyway. I wish we could have a chat with the government and just say change it for women, because
I'm sure you will.
It's so because it's very important, and we have children and we want our children to be cared for, and
not necessarily put in clubs all the time or somebody else to bring them up, because you sort of question yourself, why have children? But some people have to financially, or it's
we're in a predicament, really, as mothers and women.
I think it's a tricky one. I mean, my two, they were at home until they were 3, and then I did part-time nursery, so they went to the local nursery from 3 up. But again, I was very much balancing as time they were at nursery and time they were at home. I do think it's all about balance, and I just think being very intuitive. And if you can feel your child isn't particularly happy in a situation, maybe they do want to be at home more, then if you can, and I'm not saying it's possible, then if you are able to work from home or take the day off or whatever, just because normally once they feel reassured, they're back out there again and they can, having all the fun they need. And I just think you've just got to take each day, each week, each month, each year at a time, and just don't put too much pressure on yourself to be the perfect this or the perfect that. It's not possible.
Yeah.
And I think, again, with Amly, we have a 4-day working week as well, because Fridays I like people to have that day to themselves as well. Because there's one thing, so you're balancing sort of being a mum and working, but you also have to have time for yourself.
Yes.
100%. And that's why here on the farm, what I want to try and do also is these little mini spa days for mums and their friends. So 3 to 6 ladies, you come for the day, you come again, let's say 10 o'clock, you use the sauna, the hot tub, you have a lunch, and then spend some downtime just literally doing nothing in the afternoon, and then you can go and pick your kids up at 3.
Love it. It's amazing.
And literally,
we definitely put this out, because we were talking about this earlier before we started. So you've done quite a lot of retreats where you are, haven't you? And I really do think for our burnt out mamas, it would be really successful, and we'd we'd love to bring as many mums as possible to
Definitely.
you.
And I mean mentally as well. So that I have an ongoing joke with my partner because he was like, why is it only women that are burnt out? And I said, the thing is, right, if I switch off mentally and I'm not pushing behind the scenes, things don't get done. Everybody switches off. The house becomes a mess. You know, appointments don't get booked. So what I think men don't realise as well, like, I mean, all credit to fathers as well, but you are kind of the PA of your home as well. You're organising, you're making sure everything is like working like a ship. So you don't really switch off mentally. You don't just go to work, come home, have your dinner on the table, have your washing. You know, there's a lot of things that we are thinking about, trying to earn money, build businesses, also to have the best childhood for our children. You know, it's never ending sort of cycle of thinking, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's interesting. So the difference is, I remember seeing this little meme or something years ago where if a guy walks from one side of the house to the other, he'll literally go from there to there and sit down and not notice the socks on the floor, the this, the that, the other. And a woman will just literally pick this up, put that, redo that, so everything you do, you're quite hawkish. You're just, because you have to keep your nest, you know, in shape. We can't have chaotic nest. I mean, we can to a degree, but there's a point in time where you just have to just keep, as you say, it all needs to function. And if you notice, if you're poorly and you literally can't do something, oh my God, when you're well again, you come back down to the kitchen. It's like
It's worse, isn't it? You think, oh my God, why was I so ill? It's even worse when you get down to the like sink downstairs.
This is it. Oh my goodness. But yes. So I would say, life. I think it's great to have your passions, and passions can be work, or it could be whatever it is, and you have to keep that going alongside being a mother, because I think it keeps you sane. And as much as, and I just think we're in a different paradigm now, and I think the way we were brought up as young women, it just means that our expectations for ourselves and for our personal goals was very much different to our grandmothers. And so, you know, for my grandmother, you know, she had 7 kids that she had to bring up. And she was very much fulfilled in that. But it was great when she got her first washing machine and all these bits and bobs. So that all changed for her then, which gave her time to have that cup of tea in the afternoon with 2 ladies that lived on the same road. And you know, and her expectations at that time were met by that sort of social activity, that time out she was able to afford because of technological advances. But you know, she left school at 14. She came from Ireland to the UK, and so she was. I'm sure now, because I read when she died, we found all these stories that she'd written. She was like a story writer, but that, you know, that was lovely to discover. But that was not going to be her calling on this cycle of life. But you know, we since the 70s and 80s, we were educated to a high standard. We go, so I mean, I was the first to go to university, and it just it subtly changes your expectations for yourself, and then again for your children as well. So I think it's really important to have other things going on in your life, whatever they are, because your brain and your demands it. You know, where we can't just be cooking and cleaning all day.
We are born actually to be creative. Everybody's got creativity inside
Yes.
them, and I think
all have a gift.
Yeah, it's been stifled. But I was going to say to you, you were obviously building a house renovation, and you were bringing children up as well. That in itself was a massive juggle. So
because you said you lived on a caravan, didn't you?
Well, yes, we lived in a caravan, and we had no bath, which was horrendous. I'm a bath person. I have to have a bath every day. It's my time to just decompress. So that was really problematic for me. But also, I at the time had undiagnosed Lyme disease, so I was really unwell. So at one point, I just thought, I'm not going to get through this.
Yeah.
Really didn't feel I was going to get through it. And then when I did finally get the diagnosis about 2 years after my second child, Delilah, was born, and spent 5 years treating my Lyme disease with herbal protocols, diet, lots and lots of different things. You know, I just it was a very difficult time for me, but I sometimes think, and I think a lot of women are exhausted after they've had their children, because having a child for 9 months is in itself, you're growing a human being, and then you're birthing that child, and then you're giving everything of yourself to that child. It will take a lot out of you without even having any other potential illnesses that you won't even know. So I think it's really important at every stage of being a mother is to make sure you're okay, check in with yourself, listen to what other people are saying, because some people will notice actually before you do if you're not feeling 100%.
Have you healed yourself now
through naturally?
I did one, yeah, completely.
Wow, that's amazing. That is great. And that must, so how did you know you had it? Did it have a
So it was interesting discovery. I was getting more and more poorly. At one point, I started to develop Bell's palsy. I was losing my eyesight.
No way.
So I saved the money to go to a place called Hippocrates in Florida. It's an alternative, well, it's predominantly an alternative cancer therapy center, but it's also a place where people go with all manner of autoimmune conditions and conditions that don't even know what it might be. I went there for 2 weeks with the hope of being cured. And I always think you're setting yourself up for a fall when you put everything into one thing. And I got there, and actually it was 2 weeks of therapies and counseling and lots of incredible things. But by the end of 2 weeks, I actually felt worse. And I remember sitting on the bench on the last day, feeling very depressed because it cost a lot of money we didn't have because we were putting everything into our new home, and I felt a failure, and I was going to go back, and I felt a failure to my children because I just wanted to be a mom to my kids, and I was getting worse and worse, and I couldn't do the things that I could see other moms doing, and I was just thinking, this is just the pits. And then this woman from nowhere came and sat on the bench next to me. I hadn't seen her before. And when you're at this place, you see everyone every day because you come for your juices in the morning, blah, blah, blah. Never seen her before. And she sat next to me, and she said, how are you? And I explained how I was feeling. She said, well, what you've described to me is, I think, Lyme's disease. Have you ever had that checked out? And I said, no. And she said, well, go home, back to England, and make that a priority. And then she just disappeared. And I actually think she was an angel.
I've got chills.
I really do. Because when I came back, I was working with a nutritionist at the time, Tanya Borowski, incredible woman. And I said to her, look, I think this lady told me that it could be this. And she said, you know what? I think it might well be that, because we get you so far and you're starting to make, improvements, and then you go backwards again. So we went to my doctor, a lovely man who was very open-minded, because a lot of doctors will say it can't be Lyme's disease because you would have known about it at the time. You would have had a rash that showed it. Anyway, I didn't have any of those signs. But he was very open-minded. He took the bloods, and then we sent them to a clinic in Germany. And the results came back, and it basically said I had chronic Lyme's disease. I must have had it for about 15 years. And they were surprised I wasn't in a wheelchair. So I created my own team. I had Tanya, my functional medical nutritionist. I had a herbalist. I had my doctor. And then I found another wonderful man, Ziggy, who gave me magnesium infusions. And together we created a plan. And it was a plan initially for a year, but then it continued really in a very concentrated way for 3 years. And then after 5 years, I was 100% well again. And it was just a combination. And it was also a combination of, and I was doing all this whilst launching Amly as well, by the way. So it was all happening together.
Maybe the strength to do it, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And but also it is also you have to look at what your neural pathways are doing, because I think sometimes when you've been very ill for a long time, you stay in that illness place because you're constantly referencing back to what being ill. So you wake up in the morning and your neural pathways was still mine was still basically going, oh, how do I feel? Do I feel achy today? Blah, blah. That's not how you should wake up in the morning. You should wake up in the morning feeling positive and, not honing into past sort of feelings of when I was very poorly. So I did a lot of work using the what was it called? The lightning process. It's really amazing 3-day course which stops those neural pathways going back to a place of illness, and instead you're in a place of wellness. And that was the icing on the cake. So it was a whole journey of working with the herbs, meditation, yoga, supplements, and then at the end, changing my mindset.
And that's called the light, because I've never heard
the lightning process. Yes, it's a 3-day. Well, it was a 3-day course. Sorry, moved my computer. Delivered in Sussex, but I think now it's all online. Like everything, everything's delivered online. But you have to come at any illness from all different facets, and you use the best of everything: allopathic, complementary, physical, mental, and then obviously you do, and the soul.
Yeah, I mean, it is all linked, isn't it? Because when they say you've got a disease, it's a dis-ease in your body. Some people can't get their heads around it,
and some people, when you've got a busy life and you think you're normal, you're every day. It's not until you attune yourself to your body and you think there's actually something not right here, and it's listening to your body. And what was the symptoms you got, if you don't mind me asking, for your Lyme disease?
So, well, initially, it was very similar to fibromyalgia and the illness where you're exhausted all the time. Sorry, my mind, I can't remember. What is it when you're very tired?
Yeah, exhaust, like you're achy muscles, things like that.
Yes, so that was the fibromyalgia, and then it was, I don't know, but it was just general. I mean, I was diagnosed an issue of depression. I was then told I needed to have psychotherapy. It was all in the mind. So, but the actual symptoms were exhaustion, inability to sleep, this buzzing sensation through my whole body, literally 24/7.
No way.
The whole time. And then as it got progressively worse, I started to develop Bell's palsy in my face. I was losing the eyesight in one of my eyes. And at one point, I found it even difficult to get up the staircase.
Wow.
See, this is things that people might just be going, oh,
it's just stress of normal life, but and be diagnosed with something different than what it actually is. And do you know how you got it? Like,
I think I probably got it. So when I was a student in Brighton, there used to be these amazing parties on the Downs. This I can't remember what they were called. They were this big sound system crew. They would go off into the hills, and we'd all go out. And you would just be out, on the Downs all weekend, and you've got ticks on the Downs. And I think I would have had a tick on my body, not noticed it, and progressively over many years it took hold. Now I'm a true believer, though. I think someone else may get a tick on them, and because they're in a different headspace, mentally, physically, their own immune system will deal with it, and you might not necessarily get Lyme disease. I don't necessarily think Lyme's disease is an automatic when you've had a tick on your body, but I think in my case, just various things that occurred in my life, my own immune system, my body at different points in my life probably wasn't at its best, and therefore. But you know what? I don't regret it. I think there's a Chinese proverb that talks about the most people with the best gifts are the ones who've had illness early in life, because you become so much more in tune and in yourself, and you are much more in tune with life, because you value life so much more when you've had an illness when you're younger and then you get well again.
Yeah.
You just become more respectful of of life and yourself. So I think we wouldn't probably be here. We wouldn't have created Amly.
Yeah.
All these things that have happened are gifts from an illness that came to me earlier in my life. So I always feel when you're feeling really down, when you're very unwell with whatever dis-ease you have, know that the journey you go through will always come with some positive outcomes as well.
Yeah.
There'll always be positive outcomes from
And you will
anything that's challenging you in your life, as you well know.
You will get through it. And a big saying that I say to anybody who's going through anything like an illness, depression, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And we're in light, and that is a massive thing for me when I work with energies and stuff, that it's the light that heals us as well. But there is always that light at the end of the tunnel, and it is then days when you really feel like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? But you do. You've just got to keep fighting.
Tomorrow's another day.
Yeah. You've just got.
And also, but I also think community is very important. You've got to have your friends and family around you. If you haven't got family close by, definitely have a close network of friends. And going back to what we were talking about earlier about maybe having retreats for mums. When mine were young and all my friends had young kids, in the summer we'd just all come together in a field on the farm, and we'd bring our food and we would just put up the tents and spend a midweek together. And although you're still doing everything you normally do, because you're in that community, you just support each other, and you come at the end of the week and you do feel revived. And I think if whenever you share whatever's going on in your head with somebody, immediately it dissipates. And whatever's going on in your world, as long as you have a really good network of girlfriends, it just, these are tiny things, and it doesn't have to be expensive. You just come together, be together, and support each other. It's so important.
We're very powerful together, and we're very powerful in business. We're very powerful supporting each other. But that is what we would have had to do in the caveman times. The men would go out hunting, and the women would stick together to support as a support network. And that's what we have to keep within us. That's our gift, where women can connect on every level. Like, we've got that communication, and it is so important to have females around us so we can bounce off of them, bounce ideas, and I'm not talking about people who are going to judge you or bring you down, because we don't need that in our life. We haven't got space for that. It's being around people who support you, lift you, and it's so important. And oh my gosh, I've loved your story. I don't want to stop talking. I feel like we could talk like.
Can I say one more thing though? I have to say it because I find it's really profound. And it's sort of nothing to do with any of it, but it's something you talked about earlier, and it was about the dove.
Yes.
So my father died just over a year ago, and we all assembled last year together, my brother and his kids, my sister and her children, and me and my kids, at my mum's house to celebrate the birthday that he would have had. But we still wanted to be there and honour him, even though he wasn't with us here on this earthly realm. And we were all, and this is in Birmingham, and we were all standing outside of the house. And my brother was just ready, he was just getting ready to go. And then out of nowhere, a white dove flew into our group. First of all, it landed on my brother's car, and then it proceeded to land on each of the grandchildren's heads.
No.
One after another. And then this beautiful dove walked into the house, walked straight to my chair where my dad sat, and stayed there for an hour with us.
No.
And then the dove walked out of the house and flew away. And what's really interesting, I took a photograph of when the dove had landed on my son's head.
Yeah.
And if you look at the photograph, there is a beam of light coming from the sky, landing on my sister's son's head. And in the clouds, there's a little face, smiley face. I'll send it to you.
Oh my God.
It is, and
So crazy.
all of us, I mean, my sister and I were already sort of open to it, to that spiritual connection. My brother less so, but even he, after that event, was touched by it. And my mum, that evening, she lit a candle for him, and she said there was a beautiful calmness in the room, and she knew he'd been there, and a part of her heart was healed that day as well. So I do feel it's the dove, your story of a dove. It just resonated with me as soon as I heard you talk about it, because that happened. And even the most hardened atheists I tell this story to, they are momentarily in a place of open-mindedness, and they think, wow,
when
what
the
else could it be?
anniversary of your grandfather, do you know when the anniversary is?
Sorry.
Oh, your dad's, sorry.
Yeah, my dad.
When that happened, the anniversary of that date.
It was my dad's birthday on the 27th of October last year.
Gosh. 17th,
Granddad's 17th. But
yeah.
My God, it's, do you know, we're so connected, and I do believe in life after. And a big thing we learn with the Reiki and all the energy stuff that I've been doing. We are only energy on this earth. We've got souls now, but we're an energy, and our energy can go into anywhere after.
Yes.
And whether it may be a bird, it may be a butterfly. And I think my connection as well with things like that is when I've lost someone in my life. Actually, I lost my dog, and she was my spirit dog. It really was, because my little dog, I had her for years, and she helped me through my worst times of my life when I was really at my lowest. And she helped me get out into nature, and which I never did before when I was younger. I mean, I wasn't really bothered about things like that. But I found myself with my little dog, and when she passed, I remember walking around the field, and I said, "Please give me a sign that you're okay." And I said, "Just send me a robin. Just send me a robin." And I didn't the whole walk, and but I got to the gate, and this robin was on the side of the gate, and it just flew down, looked at me, and then it turned its head to the side. And that's exactly what my dog would do: turn its head to the side, as it's talking to you, understand. And it stayed there and I just stood there and stared at it, and I thought, oh my God, I cried my eyes out, because I thought, that was you, thank you. And it's like, it's not till you see it, you believe it, but also it's being in touch. You have to take that time to be in touch.
Yes, exactly.
With nature, take that time to connect.
We're both wearing flowers today. Not
actually, not intentionally, but wearing flowers. Oh my God. We were meant to see you today. You were meant to come, and I so love talking to you. I think you are so inspirational, and the fact that you've had children, done a business, and the fact that you're on the same wavelength with what you believe in, your the energy, the spiritualism, everything natural around you. We really connect with you on that, and it's been so incredible talking to you, and your journey of how you got through Lyme disease. And actually, my best friend has got Lyme disease, and she had to stop breastfeeding because she found out. And funnily enough, she came around yesterday. We were literally just talking about it. It's like synchronicity. But yeah, it's and I will have a chat with her. And if after the podcast,
well, yes, and I can put her in touch with all the people that helped me through that.
Thank you.
Time,
and she would really appreciate that as well. And I'm sure any other listeners, you can reach out to us.
As much information as possible below when we post. And
can you just let everybody know, just in a nutshell, your Instagram, your website, where they can buy products from your company, and also to let everybody know about your retreats, because this would be great. We will definitely put this out there to all our listeners.
So with Amly, it's amelybotanicals.co.uk.
Okay.
And I thought it'd be really nice to offer all your listeners, viewers, a special Burnt Out Mama discount. So if you use the code Burnt Out 25, Burnt Out 25, you can get 25% off.
That's amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. And yes, the Instagram is at Amelie Botanicals, and Hawthbush Farm is HAWTHBUSH farm.co.uk, and then at Hawthbush Farm. And we will be launching our private camping site soon. In fact, it's more or less ready now. And we'd like to do an offer for that, but maybe we could put that in the credits, or I don't know. I've got to work that one out. But I really want to be able to provide this space for people like me when I was, had young children. I think something we can give back is sharing that space to more mums to come together, to come to the farm, and enjoy time together. And also it's great for the kids, isn't it, because they can just run a riot.
Amazing. I can't wait. It'll be really exciting.
It was lovely talking to you.
Oh, so lovely.
Continue the chat offline.
Yeah, we'll continue the chat offline. But honestly, you've been such an inspiration.
For introducing us as well. Another one from Jasmine.
Yeah, you've been so inspirational. I love your journey. I love your brand. I think the story behind it and everything about you are really inspirational, and what you've been through.
Thank you. Well, as are you guys, And
actually, you made us feel so good before our podcast, didn't you? You were so
boost we needed today.
We really needed a bit of a boost, So thank you as well for all your lovely feedback on our podcast.
Superb. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll see you soon. Have a nice day, ladies.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. If you're loving the show, don't forget to download our latest episodes. It helps us a ton by boosting the show and making sure more people find us.
Plus, you can listen anytime, anywhere, even offline.
And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on Spotify so you never miss a new drop.
Want even more behind-the-scenes content? Follow us on Instagram, YouTube and TikTok at Burnt Out Mamas, one word, for exclusive clips, updates and fun extras.
Hit that follow button, send us a message, and let's keep the Burnt Out Mamas community going.